Howdy folks, John Robson here with another edition of Ask the Professor, where Brigitte and I respond to your questions on political economy, on history, on culture and current events, on anything that's on your mind about public life in Canada.
All right, here's a good one from Kim. She says, what do you think of the official languages policy? Do you think it's been badly interpreted, badly applied, badly managed, or is it just plain bad?
Yeah, pretty much yes is my answer to that. Because at the heart of the official languages policy is a fatal flaw, that it is about changing, affecting, putting pressure on the language that Canadians speak in their everyday life. I personally think that having French and English be the official languages of Canada is a good thing. It's a respectful tribute to our history and to demographic reality, and it means that people can speak in either language in Parliament, they can get interpretation in their dealings with agencies of government, they can use French or English under appropriate circumstances. I mean, I'm not saying you should be able to speak French in every single government office in rural Alberta, or that you should be expecting to get service in English in the Saguenay, but you communicate with head offices, important court proceedings, you're allowed to understand what's going on, that kind of thing. But it is no business of the government what language we speak at home. It is no business of government what educational options are available to us. Education at the moment is in the hands of the government. That's something I don't think should be the case. Government should make sure all parents can afford to educate their children. Government should make sure all parents do educate their children, but they should not be meddling in how the task is done, provided it's done well. But official bilingualism goes so much beyond that, like this business with commercial signs. What the heck's that about? If a company puts up signs in the wrong language, it won't attract business. It was like people go into supermarkets in some parts of Vancouver and go, hey, everything's in Chinese. Well, if the store owner figures that the clientele is primarily Chinese, that there's no point having English signs, the store owner can't put up English signs, however that may be, that's not the business of government. That's not the business of people who don't want to shop there. It's just ludicrous, this kind of social engineering, that the government would have an opinion on what language a mother should sing to her baby in. Forget it. It's no business of the state, and there is no right way to do a wrong thing, and that's why official bilingualism has been such a dog's breakfast, or un repas de chien, from the very beginning.
Well, here's where I say that Canada is not a bilingual country. Canada is a country that has two official languages. It's not the same.
Yeah, and I remember many years ago, I was traveling. I was staying at a youth hostel in Amsterdam, and the guy at the desk made an announcement in about 6 languages, including Dutch. And I
I'm
said,
very
wow.
jealous of these people.
Yeah, that was very cool. I said, where are you from? And he looked at me in kind of puzzlement. He said, well, I'm from the Netherlands, obviously. Why else would I speak Dutch? But this was a place where a lot of people were really functionally bilingual, trilingual, quadrilingual, and that's very cool. But yeah, Canada consists of a very large number of people who speak only English, and then a political elite who say, bienvenue à la soirée, or whatever it is they try and say, and make such a mess of French that I'm surprised the francophones don't run screaming from the room. And then you have a much smaller populace concentrated in Quebec, in the more urban and cosmopolitan areas, and in the upper reaches of government, who really actually speak both languages. And, more power to them, but most of us don't, and why would we? It just doesn't make sense. If it happens, great. Especially if people learn a lot of languages and aren't at each other's throats over it. That's a wonderful thing. In Belgium, I think it's kind of, half 6 of one, half dozen of the other. But most people in Canada don't speak French. They don't need to speak French. And that irritating, condescending, école de Joe Clark Francais accent that they have just makes things worse. Okay? Government, leave us alone. We're doing fine. Practically everybody's getting understood in the language of their choice. And, it's no good going around with a big chip on your shoulder because of the fact that most people in North America speak English. And the second language in much of North America would be Spanish. And that English is the lingua franca of the world. Anywhere you go, the educated, the upwardly mobile, the aspiring, and the sophisticated will have English as their second language. It's not an insult to French. It's just how things turned out, Get used to it. If you are a native French speaker and you've now learned English, consider yourself lucky because you speak 2 languages really well. I mean, that's just a good thing. I'm jealous, okay? My French is better than the École Joe Clark, but it's not really suitable for everyday use. I tend to skid and go off the road in social conversations. I just don't have chances to practice it. It's not an insult. It's not a big deal. Life goes on, and that's what government should be happy about instead of upset about.
All right, then thanks for that. Merci beaucoup. And folks, if you
Yeah.
want to play along, the URL is on your screen. It will explain to you how you get to ask your question. Thanks, and see you next time.